This is Sparta!
Hey, boys! Look what I got here!
Hey, where are the white women at?
All right. What up, guys? What up, perps? Let me know if you can hear me okay. Make sure the audio is coming through. I know the background's a little screwy. Let's see. Let's see who are we rocking with. We got Mr. Crow's in. What's up, Brother Crow? We got Chamber Defense, my brother. What's up? JC9, brother man. What's happening? Got Brother BV Luminous in here. Brother Too Many Choices. Barton Fink. What's happening, my brother? We got Mr. Sam of Anarchy, another good brother. Warsaw Patriot checking in. Yeah, brother, I'll throw you a link a little bit. And then we got Brother G23. We got Mr. 717 Ryder. Nice, brother. What's happening? We got Sister Shauna. What's happening, Shauna? Brother DJ played nice. 5x5. That's what I like to hear. My internet's a little low where I'm at, but hopefully it'll hang in there and it'll be all right. We got the 40 gangs. Well, we ain't building a 40 tonight, G2. We building 9. So, I can't build this thing, of course, on YouTube. So the plan is we hang out here a little while, chill, and then let me move this where I can get a little bit better. And then we're going to pop over only on Rumble, and I'm going to do the build over on Rumble. So let me see. I got something I got to open up here. Oh, that's not exactly what I wanted to do, damn it. Because, yeah, since YouTube's a douche, we can't do it over here. Ron Wayne, what's happening, my brother? So, unfortunately, what I'm going to have to do, we'll hang out a little while here, and then to do the actual build, like I said, I'm going to shut YouTube down and go exclusively over on Rumble. JC, I wish I had the stuff to build a freaking 10. No, this build right here, because I wasn't planning on building another 19. I forgot I've had an extra 19 slide for probably over a year. And I can't remember quite how I ended up with that extra slide. It was part of another build and stop and all that. So it is what it is. But anyway, I decided, $160 for a frame, and then I can, build this gun out and, have another 19. So that's what we're going to do. Shot. I heard that, Ron. I know Mister keeps you in check. But I figured I'm going to try to get back into this IRS whistleblower that we kept getting shut down on the other night for copyright, even though there's no way they can copyright a congressional hearing. Hold on, let me see what my wife's talking about. So, if I get shut down on that, there's another hearing about the FBI that was pretty damn interesting. Where they basically admitted that they spy on Americans at will without warrants, and they get information from banks about people's purchases and all kinds of shit. So yeah, it's It is another interesting one. Goon Beam, what's up, my brother? So let me get this thing. We'll pull it up. We'll listen to it. Video file. That's not the one. You're not the one. Was that? Was it this one? I think it's this one. Yeah, man.
And a loss to the U.S. Treasury of $106,000.
GSTs. Let's get to the. Trying to find if this thing will cooperate. What are you doing?
We are here. Authority to charge.
It's going to try to bounce where we were. This player is acting stupid as hell. Because we made it past the first break last time. We went on break for a while. Oh, come on. All right, we'll fast forward as much as we can. Maybe we'll listen to some of this. Screw it.
I will also note that while the impression has been conveyed by the U.S. Attorney in Delaware that he has similar powers to that of a special counsel in this case, free reign to do as needed, that was not the case.
Yep.
It appeared to me, based on what I experienced, that the U.S. Attorney in Delaware in our investigation was constantly hamstrung, limited, and marginalized by DOJ officials as well as other U.S. attorneys.
I always forget to post
I still think that a special counsel is necessary for this investigation.
Into the chat.
To further handle ancillary investigations that are spun off and relate to Hunter Biden, but may not have venue in Delaware. Lastly, I would like to conclude again by encouraging Congress and the administration to consider establishing an official channel for federal investigators to pull the emergency cord and raise the issue of the appointment of a special counsel for consideration by senior officials. I do not want my colleagues at the IRS, FBI, and other federal.
I'm trying to get to where we left off, where we kept getting popped. If I have to, I'll pull the damn thing up on pull it straight up off of damn YouTube. That way it'll play smoother. You know what? Screw this. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull it up off of Rumble and play it. Share screen. Nope, that's the oversight of the Fed. Hold on, I'm going to have to search for it again. I thought I had it up. Shouldn't be hard to find. Fat ass fingers learn how to type. Give me just a sec, guys. I'm going to pull it up over here. That way we can skip through. I really don't want to have to damn pound the front part of that hearing since we already listened to it. You know what? Hold on, because I can do it this way too, because this might be easier. This should be it. Bring it up on YouTube. No, this is the other hearing. I don't think we did this one. In fact, I'm sure we didn't do this one. This one was one on on the weaponization of the federal government. This is one where Kennedy's testifying in it too. A bunch of people think, oh, Kennedy's this great dude. I don't give a flying rat's ass about him. You're going to be another liberal. Michael Dunn, what's up, brother? The main thing we can get out of this hearing is just how much the government actually freaking weaponizes their powers against us, calling social media companies, shutting us down, all kinds of stuff. Just the flat out freaking lies that they tell.
On the third day of this administration, January 23rd, 2021, the White House sent an email to Twitter. The email said this: wanted to flag the below tweet, and I'm wondering if we can get moving on the process for having it removed ASAP in all caps. That third day.
Good deal.
What did that tweet say?
Hell yes.
Tweet from Mr. Kennedy said this: Hank Aaron's tragic death is part of a wave of suspicious deaths among elderly closely following administration of the vaccine. He received the vaccine on January 5th to inspire other Black Americans to get the vaccine.
So we're going to hang out a little bit.
Now, what's interesting about the email that the White House sent to Twitter,
hopefully if
is the
anybody
subject line says
have
flagging
Rumble,
Hank Aaron misinformation. Now, misinformation is
maybe they can just use this to get in and log in
saying things that aren't
and
true.
watch it.
But when you look at Mr. Kennedy's tweet, there was nothing in there that was factually inaccurate. Hank Aaron, real person, great American, passed away
really
after
cool
he
if I
got
could
the
just
vaccine.
stay
Pointing out
on,
facts. And yet the White House on the third day was trying, actually,
YouTube and do this.
1:04 a.m. on
January
January 23rd, 2021, 37 hours into the administration, they were trying to censor Mr. Kennedy. I find that interesting. The irony here, trying to censor the guy who's actually their Democrat primary opponent. Go figure. 3 months earlier, the FBI helped censor our second witness, Miss Morris's story.
Oh yeah, man.
Her story in the New York Post about emails on the Hunter Biden laptop. And we know the FBI censored her because
intelligence
of work this committee has done to uncover what happened, and because of our third witness, Mr. Sauer, the lawsuit that he argued on behalf of Florida, Louisiana, and Missouri.
About a year ago, the NSA had
case
that. Yeah, we catch every bit of electronic
amazing ruling from on July 4th, just 2 weeks ago.
Whether it's in the United States, whether it's emanating from the United States or emanating from another country coming into the United States. NSA captured
Missouri and
all
Louisiana. Joel Roth, former head of
the
site
FBI
integrity at
admitted
Twitter,
the other
in
day
his
in the
sworn
hearing that they go in and
declaration
search that data
brought out in
warrants.
that lawsuit, in his sworn declaration in front of the
That's
Federal
all your
Election
FISA
Commission,
court stuff.
he said this:
all your
during weekly
702.
meetings, federal law enforcement agencies communicated that they expected hack and leak operations before the 2020 presidential election, likely in October. These expectations discussed throughout 2020.
I forget, it was one of the head dudes from the CIA that was
in
testifying in that hearing. He's one
that a hack and
admitted
leak operation.
And yeah, you're right.
would
Snowden
involve
did call
Hunter
the shit
Biden.
out.
Now think about it. Weekly meetings throughout 2020, hack and leak operation in October involving Hunter Biden. 5 key things they pointed out throughout that year. And guess what? It all happens. It happens just like they predicted. How did they know? How did they know it was going to happen like that? Because they had the laptop. They had the laptop for 10 months before Miss Morris's story on October 14th. Her story breaks that day. That same day, October 14th, 2020, Twitter meets with the FBI, specifically the Foreign Influence Task Force at the FBI. Later that same day,
listen to what he's talking about here.
The day her story comes out, Facebook also meets with the FBI. The head of the Foreign Influence Task Force now is Laura Demlow.
Story
this
about
committee
the
interviewed her
out.
just 3 days ago.
FBI.
And what an interesting interview that was.
Twitter and all.
We asked her about these meetings. She stated in the first meeting, the FBI and Twitter, in that first meeting, she said someone from Twitter
I'll
asked,
pause it real quick.
So,
brother, this is about Hunter Biden's freaking laptop. And when it came out before the election, and one of the reporter who broke the story is going to be the one testifying. When they went to break the story, that story was up on Twitter for, I think, less than 24 hours. And Twitter took the story down, wouldn't let people share it, wouldn't even let people private message it, because all the evidence it was on that laptop about all the shit that Hunter Biden was doing, about his dealings with his dad, and then dealing with Ukraine and all these other countries making money. All that stuff was censored. And then the FBI and CIA and all them get together later, you'll hear in the hearing, and try to say that this was FBI misinformation and all this shit, when everything on that laptop is true. It's, the only thing that they haven't brought up yet, which some people have, but I haven't heard it brought up in any kind of mainstream way, was the underage girls that Hunter was with, and the fact that that's still illegal, no matter which country he did it in.
The laptop real? They asked the fundamental question. That story broke. It was big news. Twitter asked the FBI. They're right there in front of them. They've been prepping them for a year. They asked the FBI, is the laptop real? Ms. Demelo conveyed to the committee this week, an FBI agent answered, yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Another FBI agent, a lawyer, very quickly followed up with no further comment. So again, here's the scenario. The story breaks. Twitter's meeting with FBI later that same day. Someone from Twitter asked, is this story real? Is the laptop real? The FBI answers yes, and then quickly followed by, again, all this conveyed by Ms. Demelo. The FBI lawyer says no further comment. In the later meeting with Facebook,
and
again,
then
that
Twitter
same day,
takes the story down.
The FBI was asked the same question, and this time the FBI gets their story straight. Ms. Demelo is the only one who comments, and she says no comment. Obviously, by the second meeting, the FBI had coordinated, and she conveyed this in her deposition, that they had deliberated what they were going to respond when that question was asked.
They already
So
knew.
think about this. After being repeatedly told a hack and leak Russian info operation is coming for a whole year, it arrives on October 14th in the form of Ms. Morris's story, an accurate story. Our government knows the laptop is real. They know it's not a Russian information op, and they know the story is true. But when directly asked, they say no comment. And of course, Ms. Morris's story is censored. Visibility filtered, the term that the tech companies use. No, you can't direct message, you can't send it. Keeping the American people from valuable information just days before the most important election we have, election for commander-in-chief, election for the presidency of the United States. That's why Ms. Morris is here today. She knows what it's like to be censored. It's why Louisiana and Missouri filed the case. It's why Mr. Sauer argued the case. And frankly, it's why Mr. Kennedy is running for president. It's to stop, help us expose and stop what's going on. This alliance, big government pressuring private entities to censor Americans. I think in Ms. Morris's testimony, which I read this morning, big tech, big government working together, big media working all together to censor American speech. So we look forward to your testimony over the next few hours. But I will tell you this, just get ready. I think these guys, Ms. Morris, get ready. Last time we had a journalist sitting there, they were trying to get them to divulge their sources. So be ready, but I know you can handle it. We appreciate your willingness to come forward, and we appreciate your willingness to fight for the First Amendment. With that, I yield to the ranking member for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to everyone. Just have some administrative matters first. I wanted to introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with FBI employee Roya Demelo, who you just spoke about, which took place on July 17, 2023. In that line, she says, the question was asked, okay, if someone were to leave here today, were to leave this interview and were to suggest or imply that when you said the laptop was real, that it meant that the FBI had affirmatively determined in October 2020 that the laptop belonged to Hunter Biden, that the contents belonged to Hunter Biden, and that the contents had not been manipulated in some way, Would they be representing what you said, correct? Answer by
Yeah,
Ms.
Marjorie
Demlow.
Taylor Greene
They
held
would be
up some
representing
freaking
what I said because I
screenshots
don't
and
have
shit
much
from
knowledge of that.
Brandon's
They would be
son's computer.
misrepresenting what I said because I don't have
Because
much
he was paying
knowledge
for
of
hookers
that.
out of his damn
Because this committee likes to misrepresent or
law
leave off
firms,
complete sentences of what individuals said,
law
I'd like
firms
to
money.
introduce this into
So,
the record.
objection.
what's up, DLD?
Thank
What's
you.
happening, brother?
And as to no comment by an FBI, that's usually what they say when there's an ongoing investigation, particularly when it's a couple of days before
Man,
the
I'll probably
election.
give it till,
But
I don't know,
why
10, maybe
are
a
we
little after
here?
10. Then I'm going to shut down.
Why?
Down the
That's
YouTube
been the
side,
question
and then
that
I'm
quite a
bouncing
number
along.
of people have been asking me. Why are you having this hearing? What does this have to do with
Oh, yeah.
inflation? What does this have to do with the cost of living? What does this have to do with the everyday lives of Americans? The thing that the Republican
This chick
Party
is
said
so
that they would
entitled,
focus
it's
on
not even funny.
if they
Which
had
all of them
control
up
of
there
the
on that
House.
dais are.
Why would the Republican leadership and the committee majority give a hearing and a platform to the witnesses today? Specifically to Mr. Kennedy, a man who has recently claimed that COVID-19 is targeted
Mike
to
McClune,
attack
what's up, brother?
Caucasians and Black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. And before that, in his film, Medical Racism, The New Apartheid, that
Post
film
that
stated
Rumble
that
link again, which
COVID-19
it's
vaccines
pinned in the chat,
do not
but I'm gonna
work for
post it
Black
again.
children because of their, quote, kick-ass kind of immune system, that hyper, superhuman, subhuman kind of language. He also said, even in Hitler's Germany, you could cross the Alps to Switzerland. You could hide in an attic like Anne Frank did, to imply Jews in Nazi Germany had more freedoms than unvaccinated Americans during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, many of my Republican colleagues across the dais will rush to cover that they have Mr. Kennedy here because they want to protect his free speech, that they do not believe in American censorship. This is not the kind of free speech that I know of, the free speech that is protected by the Constitution's First Amendment. But free speech is not an absolute. The Supreme Court has stated that. And others' free speech that is allowed, hateful, abusive rhetoric, does not need to be promoted in the halls of the people's house. This Republican charge of free speech is being used by Republican members to promote quasi-science, things such as the replacement theory that says that brown people are replacing good white Americans here in this country. Let's not remember that this country first belonged to brown Native American people. It's a rallying cry for bigotry and hate. There are members of the Republican conference who also frequently suggest that Americans have to deal with COVID rules as the same as oppression of Nazi Germany. Indeed, some have even questioned whether the Holocaust took place. We have staffers who openly follow white supremacy without any condemnation of the Republican conference. Some give it chuckles, slaps on the back, shrugs, all under the mantra of free speech. It's a free country. You absolutely have a right to say what you believe, but you don't have the right to a platform, public or private. We don't have to give one of the largest platforms of our democracy, Congress, this hearing. Our right does not mean that we as Americans are not free from accountability. And that's what's distressing about this hearing. Even knowing what they know about Mr. Kennedy's hateful, evidence-free rhetoric, and even though they've invited any number of witnesses to make their point, Speaker McCarthy, Chairman Jordan affirmatively chose to give this a platform. They intentionally chose to elevate this rhetoric to give these harmful, dangerous views a platform in the halls of the United States Congress. That's endorsing that speech. That's not just supporting free speech. They have co-signed on idiotic, bigoted messaging. It's a conscious choice. There's no doubt as to why they're making the choice. It's not to guard free speech or to ensure equality for all. All of this, as you'll hear throughout this hearing, is to show us by their conduct over and over and again that any attack on Joe Biden to get Donald Trump back in the White House is what they need to do. They think that by hurting the Biden administration, by putting Mr. Kennedy on display, they have said that he's only running for censorship. I think people run for the president of the United States because they want to advance the American people. Over the last 8 months, the extreme MAGA majority has spent its time, not to mention
they go off on
tons of
whistleblowers.
taxpayer
Whenever
money,
anybody is
something
actually,
that they're always so cautious
documenting
about,
their bullshit,
on baseless
putting it out there,
investigations
they try
that
to
have gone
censor the
nowhere.
shit out of
All
it.
in an effort to serve as a legislative arm
Walter
of the Trump
Davis, what's up?
campaign and discredit any agency that dares to hold the president or those that work with him or who have the same ideals that he has accountable for those that are such as white supremacy, such as election deniers, such as inciters, and those who engage
And
in
all
the
of
riots
those
of
they
January
throw under
6th.
the
Truth be
MAGA.
told, I have no idea whether the
tag.
chairman actually believes any of the stuff. I don't. It's not a question I've asked him or one that's necessarily even important. But it's clear that one aim of his investigation is to bully tech and media companies into turning a blind eye to right-wing extremist conspiracies, from QAnon to the Great Replacement theory, as they spread across their platforms, even when those theories violate very basic terms of service about deliberate disinformation and promoting
I'll just
violence.
chunk this in here.
Let's not even think about what happens in 2024 with Russian trolls, Iran, China trying to interfere in our elections. And the bullying extends far beyond tech companies. Witness after witness have testified to the treatment they received from Chairman Jordan and his team. One of our earliest witnesses, Nina Jankovic, told the committee about receiving thousands of death threats and being told to go into hiding while she was pregnant with her first posted a doctored video of her. When Politico asked Mr. Chairman Jordan about the
always
threats,
a doctored
his
video
office
when it's someone on the
responded,
left.
she deserves to be held accountable. Anyone who doesn't agree with their point of view deserves whatever hatred and threats are thrown at them.
The hatred you're giving us?
I'm across the hall from Mr. Jordan, and several months ago, I saw somebody who seemed to be threatening to his office, and the Capitol Police were moving them away. And I was grateful that they were doing that, because I don't want anyone to harm him or his staff for their rhetoric,
But you're
or the
completely
things
cool
that
with
they
people
say.
burning down cities.
That's inappropriate. That's unconscionable. Another witness, this one a current member of federal law enforcement, who spent years protecting
Right now,
American
I have ibuprofen. I can't take care of this anymore.
Yeah.
not just to her work office, home address. Someone out there has figured out where this person lives and is targeting them based on disinformation this committee itself spread. She summed it up in a single sentence: I'm frankly scared. And why does the chairman send this movement to intimidate witnesses? To change their behavior, of course, to make it less safe for law enforcement officers
Republicans roll.
to
They
enforce
just
the
go
law,
around and
and less
intimidate
likely that researchers and companies will combat the spread of hate and violence online.
Most
One
Republicans
witness,
are
an
too worried
academic
about
whose
being nice
organization
and
helped identify
liked than
disinformation
actually
threats to
threatening.
election processes and procedures, described the threats sent to him and his family in detail. When the Republican staff asked him if he would consider performing the same research for 2024 elections,
They have
he
too many
said, quote,
choices in
since this
GT3.
investigation has cost the university
Got that
now approaching
40.
7 figures in legal fees, it's been pretty successful, I think, in discouraging us from making it worthwhile for us to do a study for 2024. Another witness, a researcher who analyzed massive data sets to assess the way that rumors spread online, was explicit and personal about the effect of the threats on her life.
I love how they
quite
talk shit
frankly,
about
I don't
this,
have
but
kids.
their
And
propaganda
if I did, I would no longer be doing this work.
and the way
I'm worried
they
about my
change words
students.
and
I know
shit
they're
is
worried about
spread
doing this
all
kind of work
around.
because of these kinds of threats and what they see that I'm going through. And at the same time, I just think the work is so important, and I want to make sure it keeps going. So I don't want to step off that stage. I don't
man,
want,
Call of
I think
Duty,
we have
Modern
like special
Warfare,
skills that can be
shit.
really useful and helpful
Oh,
and make help our
that one
country
was
grow
X-ray bag,
stronger.
right?
And this is having a chilling effect. And it's not just me. Other researchers are experiencing the same thing.
You know why?
These are the fruits of this committee's
Because
majority
in the game, he plays a
investigations.
CIA agent.
If
you're in Russia,
MAGA
you
Republicans
cover
agree
as,
with you, you're
an
given a
agent, and
platform to spread any
you're with some
conspiracy
bad
theories,
individuals, and you actually
no
shoot
matter
up
how
a Russian
harmful.
airport.
And if they disagree with you, you get death threats until
Yeah.
you have to go away.
Joe
These
Q,
folks
what
have a
is
plan.
up, brother?
They want to force social media companies to promote conspiracy theories because they think that's the only way their candidate can win the 2024 election. They want to bully the experts into abandoning their work on disinformation to pave the way. They want to give expression to the most vile sorts of speech here in this committee room because it prepares the ground for their own conspiracy
I don't know. We'll listen to the
theories
rest of
and
her statement, and then I'm
pseudoscience.
jumping the rope.
And they apparently don't care how many people are hurt or die as a consequence of their actions, either through lies about vaccines,
Yeah,
threats
too many
to the
choices.
safety of
Russia,
witnesses,
Russia.
because nothing is more important to them than power. It's a free
Coming from a woman
country.
who always wants power.
Both
Yeah.
Chairman Jordan, Mr. Kennedy,
It's
free
what
to
we
say
call
whatever they
projection.
want. It's the chairman's right to promote any of the views he wants to promote. But that freedom doesn't mean that the rest of us can't see what they're doing and demand something better from our representatives, from my colleagues, from this Congress.
And
You
again,
don't represent your
better.
own people.
Than the witnesses,
I'll point it out.
my colleagues.
These people
Let's
up on the
be better.
dais, like her running
Let's get
her
about
mouth,
the
they're
business,
not under
the real
oath.
business of the American
They
people.
can pretty much say
Stop
whatever
the
the hell they
division,
want.
the divisiveness.
Jason,
that
much
is being
love, my
promoted
brother.
Through this committee. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I would ask unanimous consent to enter into the record from page 29 of Ms. Demelow's testimony from 3 days ago. Question: do you recall whether any of these social media companies you were meeting with asked you any questions about the laptop story? I do was her answer. And what is your recollection? Somebody from Twitter essentially asked whether the laptop was real, and one of the FBI folks who was on the call did confirm that, quote, yes, it was, before another participant jumped in and said no
Question
further
is,
comment.
where's that laptop?
Question: do you recall who from the FBI
Oh,
was
man,
said,
it's all
said
over the
it was
place.
real? I do. And who was that
FBI's
person?
got it.
I'll have to get back with you. Without objection, we'll enter that into the
Let's just hope it's
into
not
the record. We now
destroyed
want to
like
introduce our
Hillary
witnesses. I want to
Clinton's
start with Ms.
emails.
Emma Jo Morris.
No,
Ms. Morris is
there's
politics
copies
editor at
of-
Breitbart News. She
There's
previously
copies of
served
that
as the deputy
laptop
politics editor at the
all
New York
over.
Post, where she authored the post coverage of the Hunter Biden laptop and its contents in 2020. Ms. Maya Wiley is the president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. She
There's
previously served
JFK
as
Jr.
counsel
right there.
to New York City
Yeah.
Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Yeah, he's in this here.
And at the American Civil Liberties Union.
Mainly
and the
because he was just
NAACP
censored so
Legal
bad.
Defense and Education Fund. We welcome you.
Dude, the woman was a bitch. Both of
Wiley.
them.
Mr. John Sauer is the Special Assistant Attorney General for the Louisiana Department of Justice, and he is one of the lead lawyers in the Missouri v. Biden case that I referenced in my opening statement. He previously served as Deputy Attorney General for special litigation with the Missouri Attorney General's Office and Solicitor General of Missouri. He clerked for Judge Michael Ludig and Justice Antonin Scalia. And then our final witness is Mr. Kennedy. I will turn to our colleague,
we'll let it run for a
Mr.
little
Roy,
bit
member of the
longer.
Judiciary Committee, and waved on to the subcommittee to introduce.
So I'll give
Mr.
everybody. Where am I at? Here I am. But I'll give everybody kind of an idea what's happening. So we're listening to this, just kind of hanging out a little bit, and we are about to go over on Rumble, and we are going to build this. So those of you who haven't built, oh, cool deal, Joe. Those of you who haven't built a Polymer 80, we're going to build one. And most of the time when I build, I'm looking at reference material and stuff. The real kicker to this is I'm going to try to do this Joker without having to sit around and look at all my notes. So from building out or drilling everything, cleaning everything, putting in rails, putting the slide together, that's what we're going to roll. Like I said, I'm going to try to do this one strictly from memory instead of having all my notes and looking up stuff. So this one might be a fun one. There might be some cussing and some mofoing in there, but we're going to give it a whirl anyway. So let's let this play. We'll let this play some more. Where are we at? Here it is.
Thank you, Chairman. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the son of former Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy and the nephew of America's 35th president, John F. Kennedy, the third of 11 children. He graduated from Harvard University. We won't hold that against him because he went on to receive his law degree
There's
from the
brother
University of Virginia
G23.
School of
What's up?
Law, my alma mater, as an
Not
undergraduate.
much. Just
So I'm
hanging.
viewing Mr. Kennedy through his last name, but that does a
Where
tremendous
is Mr.
disservice to his
Kennedy,
life's work,
living
whether you
anyways?
agree
What
with it
state?
or not.
Dude, I
Out of
can't
law school,
remember.
Mr. Kennedy built his career as an environmental
His
lawyer,
face looks like he's
representing
got
New
a bit
York
of
City
tan, you know?
environmentalists and environmentalists across the globe in numerous legal battles. His work culminated in the landmark New York City watershed agreement focused on the cleaning of New York City's waterways.
Definitely looks like he's
After
been
the 2008 election, Politico reported
Yeah.
that President-elect Obama strongly considered Mr.
Yeah.
Kennedy to head the Environmental Protection Agency. He went on to found Children's Health Defense, a national organization intended to address childhood chronic disease and toxic exposures. I assume that being a father of 7, in addition to being one of 11 children himself, fuels his interest in children's health. Following the 2016 election, Mr. Kennedy met with then President-elect Trump to discuss his potential for a committee to examine vaccine safety and scientific integrity. Their conversation also touched on the CDC and ways to increase independence from financial conflicts. Most recently, Mr. Kennedy announced his campaign for President of the United States. During his campaign announcement, he stated, quote, "My mission over the next 18 months of this campaign and throughout my presidency will be to end the corrupt merger
We got a
of
bunch of
state
cats
and
already
corporate
over on
power
Rumble. Good deal.
that is threatening to impose a new kind of corporate feudalism in our country," end quote. It is for this that Mr. Kennedy finds himself receiving the scorn of both the political left and right. Because if one dares
Good deal.
challenge the
I'll be
orthodoxy
right
of the
back.
powers that be, then one is their enemy. As a graduate of the University of Virginia, Mr. Kennedy no doubt knows the following quote, for here we are not afraid to follow truth wherever it may lead. Thomas Jefferson. That truism was lost during the COVID pandemic. Individuals receiving scorn simply for asking questions, people being silenced for challenging the status quo. These are the kinds of questions that should have been publicly debated, and this
Mr. Chair.
this hearing is focused on that truth, and we welcome Mr. Kennedy.
I thank the gentleman, Mr. Kennedy. We're glad you were here. We will now proceed with open statement. Before I do, I want to introduce the guy sitting behind you, Mr. Kennedy, who was a former colleague of ours, and maybe more importantly for me, a good friend of mine, Dennis Kucinich, who served in the United States Congress for 14 years, I believe, and great Buckeye. So we welcome Dennis, and I know Elizabeth's here as well, and we appreciate your service, Dennis, and your commitment to the First Amendment. We'll now go with opening testimony. Mr. Kennedy, you are recognized for your opening statement. As mine's not. Make sure it's on.
Mr. Chairman, are you going to swear in the witnesses?
If you'll please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information and belief, so help you God? Let the record reflect that the witness answered in the affirmative. Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Kennedy, you are now recognized for your opening statement, and then we'll go right down the line. He's going to go a little longer.
Excuse me, point of order. I know that witnesses usually have 5 minutes. I see 10 minutes on the board. Is it going to be 10 minutes
We'll
for
give him
every
5
witness?
minutes, but we're pretty lax with this. We'll let him go for
We
a
are?
little, yeah.
I've seen you gavel down on quite a number of
We've given
witnesses.
senators and former Democrat members of Congress and all kinds
He's
of folks. my
neither.
time.
He's neither.
I'm just saying in past history.
Okay,
in
okay.
committee. But we'll
Let's
give-
just
we'll give
watch
you-
the time for all the witnesses.
And if
then.
you want to cut him off and censor him some more, you're welcome to do it.
Oh, that's not my job. That's your job. Why don't you
Yeah,
threaten
you
the
do it all
witness
the
so
time.
that they can
Mr.
not
Kennedy-
want to be a
Mr. Kennedy
witness?
is recognized for his opening statement.
Let's listen to
Give him
Kennedy.
5 minutes more or less, and then we'll move to the next one. Mr. Kennedy, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, maybe we could put 5 minutes on the clock then, not 10.
Could we put 5 on the clock and start it running?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to put aside my written statement for a moment and address one of the points that was brought up. I think an important point. By the
Gabriel,
ranking
what's
member,
up?
That this body ought to be concerning itself with
Good deal, Sam.
with issues that impact directly the American people. The rising price
Yeah,
of
what's,
groceries,
Kennedy's
76%
relationship
over the
with Trump?
past 2 years for basic food stuff.
I don't think
the
they
war
necessarily
in
have a
Ukraine, the
relationship.
inflation issues, the border issues, many other
I
issues.
mean,
that
I'm
concern us
sure,
all
pretty
as a
sure they
nation.
know
We
each
can't
other,
do that without the First Amendment, without debate. When I gave
but I don't know
my
whether they're
speech,
out
my
taking long
announcement
walks on the
speech in
beach
Boston,
together or anything.
No,
2
but I
months
bet they've had
ago,
conversations here. and then.
YouTube,
Yeah.
I talked about all those issues. I focused on grocery. I focused on the fact that working class people can no longer afford to live in this country.
That is a
I
fact.
talked about inflation, all the issues that deeply concern you, and that you've devoted your career to alleviating those issues. 5 minutes into my speech, when I was
I'll
talking
tell you
about
what.
Paul Revere, YouTube.
Let me pause in for a sec because we're going to go ahead and kill YouTube.
Well, we're moving Rumble?
And yeah, we're going to move it over to Rumble. So I should just be able to check out of YouTube and leave everything up. Da, 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 da. Poof. Post was created on the